Thank you, guys. Good evening. I'm going to have to remember to say evening and not good morning. Good evening. As these guys said, my name is Jess, and I'm the pastoral lead here, and it's my absolute honor to be preaching at the 5 p.m. this evening. Thank you for having me. And as they said, we are finishing off our series in wisdom from the book of Proverbs. And I want to speak about what Proverbs says we should do with all the wisdom that we've gained from the amazing talks that we've had this month. We've learned that wisdom starts with the fear of the Lord, that it starts with a right viewing of God, of building awe and wonder in God and seeking his way in all things. We've learned that wisdom grows in community, that if we surround ourselves with wise people, then we will grow in our own wisdom. We've learned practical ways to maintain our wisdom. Last week, Fernando taught on 6 keys, and we had a powerful talk from Chizzy in the evening about how we need to build practical habits that will build into our everyday lives and help us to grow in wisdom. And today, I want to talk about how we can use wisdom to invest for eternity. Have you guys ever had a discussion about what you would do if you won the lottery? Yeah? What are some things you guys would buy? What would you get with the money if you won the lottery? Shout it out.
Car. Houses.
There we go.
Give it to the poor.
Buy some nice trainers. Buy a house. There we go. Super yacht. All sorts of things. There's really cool things. No one's saying buy electricity for the church, but we'll continue. There we go. Fix the roof of the church. Get some electricity. Get some heating. Get rid of the mice. There's lots of cool things that you could do with the finances. And I would get a lot of that. I would definitely go on a really nice holiday in the Bahamas, maybe the Maldives, somewhere hot and like in lie on a beach. Get a nice car, buy some flat. But I think the first thing I would do that's maybe a bit boring and kind of a bit too sensible is the first thing I would do is get a financial advisor to tell me how I can invest my money. Because if you invest your money wisely, you can make more money from your money. All you have to do is choose carefully where you're going to invest it, and you can gain a bigger portion later on. Your money will be multiplied. It's hard to plan for the future sometimes. We like to kind of live in the here and now. We like to use our money to get what we can get to give us pleasure immediately. I'd want to use my money to get nice stuff and go on nice holidays, but there's so much benefit in setting some aside for multiplied benefits in the future. We believe here at Christ Church Peckham that whether you believe in Jesus and you've given your life to him or not, you do have an eternal future. And I would say that if you're here tonight, even if you wouldn't call yourself a Christian, there's something in you that knows that there must be more to it than just the few decades that we live here on earth. That there must be more to us than just these bodies that we live in. So, what does that mean? If we know that here on earth we have to invest wisely for our future, how do we apply that to eternity? Our verses this evening are from Proverbs 11 and Proverbs verse 4 and Proverbs 11 verse 30. And these verses, I think, teach us how we should be investing for eternity. Proverbs 11 verse 4 will come up on screen. It's a nice short one. It's a good one to remember. Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. So immediately we can see here that investing in eternity is different to investing here on earth. And if we really think about it, we know that this is true. Wealth is worthless in the scope of eternity. Wealth does not satisfy our souls. Wealth cannot buy us good relationships. Wealth cannot buy us integrity. Wealth cannot buy us peace. In fact, more often than not, money is the thing that disrupts these things. It disrupts and destroys these things. And these verses tell us that money also cannot provide us a safety net from God's judgment. What does it say can provide us that safety net? Righteousness delivers from death. These verses are telling us that instead of investing in wealth, we should be investing in righteousness. So what is righteousness? Is it just always doing the right thing? Have you ever had someone say to you, well, that's not very Christian when you do or say something? Or maybe you don't call yourself a Christian because you're hesitant about what you would need to give up or start doing. Righteousness can maybe sound a bit boring and strict because maybe it feels like it's all about behavior, all about following rules and being good. But there are so many verses in the Bible, and when you read through it, you can see that the Bible talks about how righteousness does not come from behavior, but instead it comes from trusting God. I think Romans 4, verses 3-5 sums it up really well. What does Scripture say? Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. Now, to the one who works, wages are not credited as a gift, but as an obligation. However, to the one who does not work, but trusts God, who justifies the ungodly, their faith is credited as righteousness. So even in the Old Testament, in the days of Abraham, when we lived under the law of Moses, belief in God was the key to righteousness. The one who does not works, but trusts in God, gains righteousness. Now, I am a recovering goody two-shoes. I grew up as the daughter of not one, but two school principals, and my dad is also a pastor. And what I've seen in my days is that people that grew up like me seem to go down one of two paths. People either become like a rebel with like long black leather coats and like a Star of David tattoo on the forehead and just going all out against everything that they grew up with. Or, like me, the goody two-shoes path. If you told me growing up that investing in eternity would be investing in righteousness, I would have been stoked, because give me a rule, I would follow it. Give me responsibility, I'm giving 150% to do the perfect job. I worked so hard to get perfect grades, to be the perfect friend, to be the perfect daughter and sister, to be the perfect small group leader, to be the perfect Christian. I didn't swear, I didn't have sex or get drunk or take drugs or take the Lord's name in vain, but I was in church every Sunday and in Connect Group every week. If you looked at me on the surface, I was nailing the righteousness. The problem was I wasn't investing correctly. I was investing in the behaviors of righteousness. And in fact, by doing that, I was actually being unrighteous, because I was putting all my trust in what I could achieve and do instead of putting my trust in God. I didn't even realize it until I was much older and I had a relationship breakdown. I dated a Christian man who loved God, and we did everything right. We read the Bible together, we prayed together, we went to church every Sunday, we didn't sleep together, it is possible. I thought I was going to marry this man, but we were taking our time, we were being wise, there were things that we need to work through. And then he had to move back to America. His job took him back to America. And I prayed and I did everything right to try and apply for a visa so that I could get back out there so that we could continue dating. We tried long distance, we considered getting married, but it didn't seem wise. And as the distance broke down our relationship, we realized that that wouldn't be a good decision. And so we broke up. And I was absolutely furious with God. I was so angry. I had done everything right. I had followed all the rules, and he had not given me what I wanted. I'd been so good, and looking back, I can see that I had invested in behaviors, and it had returned as entitlement. I turned bitter and hard-hearted, and my faith grew stale over the years that followed. I turned away from God, and in this, I got depressed and was really lonely, even though I spent my time just surrounded by people. My behaviors didn't change that much. I still continued to do everything right, but I wasn't praying, I wasn't reading my Bible, and then lockdown hit. And I just didn't know what to do anymore. I couldn't go to church, there was nothing there, so I just drifted and was just kind of coasting along in this kind of stale state. And then things got really stressful at my work, my parents both got really ill, and I realized nothing that I was doing was soothing my soul. There was just this darkness and this emptiness, and the only thing I knew to do was to turn back to God. And so I started just crying out to God, and I was still so angry. I was still so frustrated. I was so mad at what had happened, but it was all that I knew to do was to turn to him and to throw that at him and to fall on my knees. And so slowly I started praying again. Slowly I started cracking open my Bible again and reading my Bible. When things opened up, I went back to church, and I would sit in the back still with a mask on, and I'd roll my eyes at everything that was happening. I was still bitter, I was still hard-hearted, I was judging everything, but I kept going back to church. And slowly over time, with so much kindness and with so much grace, God softened my heart. Through community and through spending time in his presence, he showed me that my righteousness was not gained through my behavior. It was not gained through trying to be perfect, but my righteousness came through Jesus. I had to learn to put my trust in what Jesus did for me on the cross and in the calling and purpose that he has placed in my life, and not in what I can do through my achievements and through trying to be perfect. Nothing I could do could earn my righteousness. Nothing I could do could soothe my soul. Nothing I could do could fulfill me. It was only Jesus that could do that. And on the surface, my behavior still hasn't really changed. I still try to do everything right. But now it's motivated by walking with God. Now it's motivated by spending time with him and letting him mold me and shape me and guide me in my life. And now my soul feels full and whole. I find all that I need in Jesus, not in my own achievements, and he never disappoints me. If things don't go the way that I plan, then I stand firm on trusting that his plan is greater, and I find my comfort in him, rather than falling apart with disappointment and anger. Investing in righteousness has saved me from death. My soul is alive, and I know that I have eternity in relationship with God to look forward to. What are you guys investing in? Are you investing in behaviors of righteousness? Or are you investing in Jesus, who is righteousness itself? Does your heart seek him to save you, or are you trusting in wealth and the things of this earth to keep you secure? See, the amazing thing about investing for eternity by investing in righteousness is that you are guaranteed a blessed return. And that it won't just be for this life, but that it will be for eternity. Let's read our second verse, Proverbs 11, verse 30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. The one who is wise saves lives. See, investing is like planting a seed. You invest a bit of your money and you hope that you plant it into good soil where it will grow and give you a good return. You should choose carefully what you invest into, otherwise you risk that seed dying. In the same way, this verse tells us how we can judge if we are investing correctly by looking at the fruits of the seed that we plant. When I thought I was investing correctly by trying to earn my righteousness through behavior, the fruit of that was entitlement and disappointment and bitterness. It was not life-giving. This verse tells us that if we truly invest in righteousness, that is in Jesus, that fruit is life. That fruit is a tree of life. In John 10, verse 10, Jesus tells us, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Do you want a life that feels hollow and empty, or do you want a full life? I want a full life. Other translations of this verse say, he who wins souls is wise. So when we are righteous, we gain life. And then if we are wise with this and invest this correctly, it can bloom into a tree of life that can save souls. How does this work? How can we invest in souls? Well, what is the tree of life that this verse talks about? We need to remember that righteousness is Jesus. So if we want to know what the tree of life is, we need to look at Jesus and how he lived his life here on earth. Jesus lived to serve others. He taught on it throughout his ministry, and he lived it out as well. He healed the sick. He loved the outcasts and the marginalized. He sought out and uplifted those who society rejected and did not value. He lived this under all circumstances and in all situations. I find it incredible that the night before Jesus was crucified, he washed feet. Even as he was being dragged away after being arrested and betrayed by one of his disciples, he healed a man's ear. He served under all circumstances and in all situations, even when it seemed impossible. And ultimately, he died to serve humanity, creating a way for us to be in relationship with God. So if we're investing in righteousness, we need to be living the way that Jesus did. And if we do this wisely, we will save not just our own life, but lives The word is plural in this verse. We need to be living a life that serves others because this will save us from death, but also because it will save others. God has placed you where you are and given you strengths and gifts, not just for your own good, but for the good of others around you. Your righteousness is not just for you. It's to save the souls of others. And when you do this, you are investing for eternity. When we read these verses in Proverbs, it should cause us to kind of take a step back and to see things in perspective. It should completely change how we look at things in the here and now and cause us to realize that we are living our lives in the scope of eternity and that we have an opportunity to wisely invest, to make a difference in eternity. And the only way that we can do that is by saving people's souls, is by saving our own soul through living righteously, and then investing that into bringing others to God. Are we investing wisely? Do you invest your time wisely? Do you spend time with God every day, building your trust and relationship with Him? Do you invest time in community, getting encouraged and going through prayer and worship and studying the Bible with others? Do you invest time with people who don't yet know God, building relationship with them, showing them God's character, showing them the love of God so that we can lead them to Him? Are we investing our attention wisely? What are you watching and listening to? What are we focusing on? Do we invest in gossip or negativity? Or do we invest in seeing others the way that Jesus sees them? Forgiving them the way that God forgives us, refusing to let the enemy sow lies that drags us down and keeps us from the joy that God gives us? Are we investing our efforts wisely? Do we just invest in ourselves, or do we invest in serving others the way that Jesus did? Could we start an Alpha course in our school or in our workplace or our neighborhood? Could we start a connect group here at church? And how are we investing our gifts? What strengths has God given us? Are we using them to win souls? Are we in a church team where we can use these gifts to bring others into the kingdom of God? Are we doing everything with excellence to look good? Or are we doing it to show people the character of God and lead them to Him? Everything that God has given us is so that we can invest in righteousness and in winning souls for the kingdom of heaven. And when we decide to choose these things over the temporary things here on earth, we are choosing to invest for eternity. And church, if we all decided to do that this evening, imagine what this world would look like. I believe we would see the world change. We'd see lives fulfilled here on earth and souls saved for eternity. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. And the one who is wise saves lives.